Your website might be costing you customers right now, and you might have no idea why. The truth is, most business owners, they just give away website design to somebody else and they just trust them completely and they don't have any input. That is not the way to go. You want to either design your own website, especially if you're starting out, you don't have the budget and you're a solopreneur, or you want to know what needs to be on a website, why it needs to be on a website, and then farm it out to somebody else. And guess what? Even if you're not a designer, I'm not a designer, you can create a website that works for you and gets you clients. In this video, I'm going to go over core components for your website that I've learned in 25 years of marketing and working for a website agency that gets your customers to stick. So that is super important. You want visitors to come to your website, you want them to stay, and then you want to convert them into customers. And that's what we're going to discuss today. The principle number one that we're going to talk about is that you need to design a website that makes people convert. Conversion is king. A conversion depends on what you're doing. It could be a straight up sales. A lot of e-commerce websites, the main thing is buy now. And then conversions for people like me, consultants or coaches, could be that you want to get them on your newsletter, or you want to get them a lead magnet so they sign up so they can be on your email list. And so your conversion, your number one primary conversion is your number one thing. For example, I work for a company called Techstars where founders apply to be part of a startup accelerator. So for us, apply is the number one conversion that we have. And that's a huge button that says apply. And that is what you need to figure out first before you design your website. What is it for you? Your role as the website producer, designer, maker is that there's a way for people to get through your website. So I'm not a designer. It's not the prettiest website, but it gets me leads and it gets me clients. So it works. And that's all that matters. And conversions matter. And then the only thing that really stands out in that orange pop, and that's clickable. I mean, all this is clickable, but this is what stands out because I want people to click here. And this is where they click. And then basically this is where what I sell. And then they hopefully click on those and then they purchase. All right, let's look at what doesn't work. And I found a website that actually lists a bunch of sites, and I feel really bad that these sites are on there, but they're so bad. And I want you to see what bad looks like. Here's bad. There's so much going on. I don't even understand what's happening, right? You got this background. There's just so much going on. There's no way to know what's the main thing you click on. So let's look at my website. Only one thing to click on, that orange button. Look at this website. What does he want? I don't know. There's another one right here. What I want you to look at here, right? You have the menu bar. You got the need help. You got the chat with email. You got the no ratings available, which is really bad. Like, why is that even on the website? You have start the experience, but there's really not a button. So you're supposed to click on that. I have no idea what I'm supposed to do. I am very, very confused. So let's look at a good website. This one is amazing to me because here you have primary call to actions and secondary call to actions. And that is something that if you have multiple things, you can think about. You can very clearly see the primary color and the primary call to action is pink. Get started now, watch the demo, and the request free trial. Then everything that's secondary is sign in. So this is for people that already have a login, they already purchased. This guy is also turquoise, see? And this is like, hey, how can I help you? But what they want me to do is they want me to watch this demo. It's very obvious. They want me to hit get started now. And then let's go back up top. They want me to request a free trial, which is going to bring me to the same area. So you need to figure that out. What is your primary call to action? If you have to have a secondary, and you don't need to, a lot of people don't, but if you want a secondary, make the color different, make it a lower color that doesn't stand out as much. Let's look at one more website here. This is Kajabi. This is actually the website that my website's housed on and my courses and my membership is housed on. I have a link to Kajabi. If you're interested in doing your own courses, click on that link. It's in the description. But why I wanted to show this to you is it's interesting. Their call to action button is black, just like the black text, just like the black logo. I find this dangerous. I would not recommend it. I think a pop of color is going to make people click. But why this works for Kajabi is look at how simplified it is. It's so simple. And they only have one thing to do, start a free trial. And they put it here in the middle because people's eyes are on that, and they put it up here at the top right because a lot of people are used to the main call to action button is at the top right. So this is really done really well, even though that they don't have a pop of color. The other thing that I really like is that you have all these people, and these people, a lot of them are famous. Brendan Burchard, a lot of people know him. A lot of people know the different people that they have rotating here. So you have immediate way to have social proof. Like, damn, all these big people on there, I need to be on there. So let's get back to the basics though. When you design something, make it simple, pick a couple of colors, and your conversion is the most important. And that conversion color is your most important color. And it needs to be just a primary conversion that's not everywhere. And that's really easy to see, like the examples that I showed you. The next thing I want you to do is guiding the attention of your website with the layout. So it used to be that we used to call the F layout, where people would read like an F. So for example, let's look at this website called Petal. This is the F layout. You have the top, it goes to the right, and then you got like an F, right? It's the letter F. That is bogus. It's old news. It's old school. It actually has been proven that's not the case. People don't really care about that. What people care about is visual hierarchy, and it doesn't matter if it's on the left or on the right. So let's look at what that means. So this is visual hierarchy. What you're looking at is your main headers. The header, they're called header ones. Like this one is called header one because it's the biggest header on the website. And then they probably have this is header two or header three. And so you have like multiple headers on the website. Here's another header. There's another header. And so the visual layout here is the hierarchy, what you want to look at. There's no way your eye is going to look at anything else besides this big fat font. It's super easy to read. And then because the flexible way is in blue, it really stands out, and that's what you look at. So your job is to find the most important messages and make those in your header ones and make them so visual. It's the visual hierarchy. So that's what you want people to look at first. And that text better be for your potential customer. It needs to either address a pain point or a value for them. It needs to be something where you're like, whoa, I gotta look at this. This is interesting. The flexibility is their number one value, right? And that's what they really want to get in on. Let's look at one more. Again, they didn't do an an F thing either. They just did the same thing. The visual hierarchy is by the headers. And so you have something down here, you got things everywhere, but what you're really reading is this giant font, and it screams at you. It's so big. Bring your best thinking to the moments that matter. And so this is what I want you to really work on, is getting the right headers, and in the very top, they need to be somewhere. I don't care if they're the left, like the F, in the middle, or the right even. It just needs to stand out. The next principle, we already touched on color a little bit, but let's talk about color a little bit more. So there is color theory, right? So a lot of times we'll say that colors like purple and gold show luxury. Colors like blue show trust. Colors like green show calm. A lot of restaurants are red. Supposedly red makes you hungry. So Google that. Like, what's the color theory? Like, for me, my favorite color is blue. So I chose blue. Thankfully, blue is a trustworthy color. So you do see blue a lot for a lot of like B2B companies and stuff like that. And blue can be stale because a lot of people do use blue. So be careful with that. And then for me, I have that color pop, right? And then you can see the whole thing is not just blue, right? I have my background color, which is like a grayish white, and a lot of the website is actually grayish white. And then my color pop is the orange, where I want people to click on. So it's very obvious where I want you to click. I do use the dark blue throughout. Again, there's some color. I like gradients, but again, the color pop is orange, what I want you to click on. I found this website that I really liked. I feel like this is super calming. And what I liked about this website is really the color scheme that works very well together. If you look around, just like my website, the background stays white, stays that light green. There's not too many background colors that are really competing. So it works really, really well together. Let's look at this guy. This one is very interesting too because their primary call to action is black, which again is very difficult, but they make it work because they have a lot of white in the background and then they have color to make things just brighter and happier. You can see the logo, the colors match the design that they're using. So it's really clean. Because they are using so many colors, they're stuck with the black button because then the black stands out because everything else is so colorful. Again, the background has a lot of like white and black. Last example here, they decided to do a white button, which is also very interesting, but it works really well because the background is green and it's a dark green. They have this color that to make everything stand out. The first thing you see, right, it's visual hierarchy. It's the header one is giant, so you're going to read that. The buttons stand out, and you can see here the primary button is colored, the secondary button is not. And for the most part, the background stays either green or white. There's a lot of background that stays white like this in the background. And that's something I want you to pay attention to. Because if you have a website with so many colors in the backgrounds, that's very difficult. If you want to keep about 60% to 70% of your website background one color or two colors, that's going to really make the rest stand out. And then your poppy colors and your secondary and primary colors, those become a little bit less. So maybe you do, 60% of one background color, and that's most of your website, whether that's white space, black space, or in that one instant, a green background. I don't care, but make that 60%. And then you have like 20% of some other colors that you can use in your buttons and in your headers and in your other design. And then the rest is another 20% of like being, if you want to do something fun like this. Another principle that a lot of people forget about is typography, and that is your font. What does that look like? Is it easy to read? Is it not easy to read? So here on the screen, you could see the font over here on the left and then on the right. And the name of the font on the left is called April Fatface, and the one on the right is called Open Sans. And look at it really long. Check this out. This has loops in it. It's really close together. It has fat lines and thin lines. It is actually really hard to read. Now look at this Open Sans. Everything is equal. All the lines are the same size. The spacing, look at the spacing, is so much better than this spacing. It's like squished together. And this is really easy to read. So just pick some easy readable fonts. Don't go fancy. Don't buy any fonts. Use the sans fonts are really, really good to use. And then you want to think about web content accessibility guidelines. And they really look at contrast a lot in buttons and background colors. And so let's look at some contrast. You can see here a gray on a gray. It's super hard to read. This is low contrast and it would not pass the web content accessibility guidelines. Compared to this one, super easy to read, high contrast. You have dark black on a white background with an orange border. And then the last thing is, do not build a trendy website. If you are giant and you have a giant marketing budget and you can change your website every year, every 2 years, sure, you can go trendy. The trends change all the time. Every year there's a different trend for websites. You're going to be chasing that forever. So you are way better off if you do a website that is plain. The websites I showed you, all of them were pretty plain. Some of them are from $1 million companies, and they didn't go trendy. They didn't go like super crazy. They kept things simple because the only thing that matters is that people convert, and that is by clicking the buttons that are most important, your primary buttons. And this is really all you need in the design portion of it. There's a whole other thing you need to learn is the right copy for your website. And I have a course on that if you want to check it out. It's called the Homepage Conversion System. That goes more into the psychology of the visitor, the reader. And so there's a lot more going on there. And that is vital on your website to get visitors to turn themselves into leads and turn themselves into customers. And I have the link below. It's a mini course. It's super cheap, so you can grab it. But for the website design, it was what we talked about today. You can work with a website designer or you can do it yourself. When you go to Squarespace or Wix or Kajabi, they have templates, and they have templates that already have great colors on them. You can tweak them and change them a little bit into your brand colors. And if you want to find a fun brand color tool, I love playing with this. I play with this way too much, but let's look at that one together. So this website is called Coolers, and I really, really like this website. So I'm going to choose the white, and so I'm going to lock it down, and then you just hit the space bar, and then it shows you colors that work really well with white. So I'm going to be like, oh, wow, I love this green. So I'm going to lock this green down. And then I can go hit the space bar, and then it matches colors that work with the green. Personally, I don't think you need 5 colors, but if you want 5 colors, you can. But this is just, it's a fun tool, and you're going to spend way too much time on it. I'm going to tell you that now. So where does all this leave you? Well, now that you know the main principles, you can know and comfortably hire somebody, and you can give them directions, or you can do this on your own. Good luck. If you need help, I do audits on websites. I would love to help you. Just go to my website at cmogrowthguide.com. Lastly, if you found this useful, please like and subscribe. Thanks so much.